Welcome to Questions with the Crates. I'm Jessica, and today we have one of our judges from mondioring.
Donald Lee.
All right, so tell me how you got involved in the sport.
So I got involved in dogs way back doing Schutzhund with Dobermans, and just as time progressed, I had German Shepherds, and then we moved from Houston to San Antonio and ended up starting a Mondio club.
So, from your point of view, how has the sport grown? Like, what did it used to be versus what it is now?
So it used to be that when dogs would come on the field, there was really probably like a 30-70% chance that a dog would pass because the training wasn't there. A lot of times the genetics of the dogs wasn't there. And as it evolved, we got a little bit more involved, I think, by having European people come in, by bringing European lines into the working dogs. I don't want to get into like dog breed stuff so much, but the truth is bringing the Malinois instead of the German Shepherds and some of the other dogs. Not to talk bad about them, but the Malinois, the sport was built basically around the Malinois.
Yeah. And so how many so you do mondioring, how long have you been a judge?
I've been a judge since 2012.
Okay, so before that you were just a competitor. What made you want to take the step to become a judge?
So I started doing Mondio about 2000, and at the same time I became a police canine handler. So I was fortunate to work with a department that believed in community service and community interaction, and the canine program was a very good place to do that. So I was pretty blessed to have a department that said, yes, you can take your patrol dogs and you can do sport work with them. So the sport work for my police canines helped me have a dog that was a lot more social and had a lot better understanding and cleaned up a lot of my handling skills. So going into the Mondio ring was kind of natural, but it was sort of a side-by-side thing with my
cool.
canine things.
Like, I wish more would do that, because like it would improve handlers.
Absolutely.
That's super cool. That's, I think, really cool.
And when I became a canine supervisor, I started bringing some of our new recruits into Mondio ring, and quite honestly, I had two of them tell me, it's like, the first time you brought me out here, I had no idea what connection you were trying to make. I thought it was stupid that you're taking me to a sport dog place to learn about a police canine. And then I realized what the control, what the understanding of canine behavior was, and how you do your training all are interactive, and dog training is dog training. You just need to guide it in the direction you want your dog to be successful at. So as I developed in canine, I became a canine trainer, canine supervisor, canine trainer, and was a certifying official for patrol narcotics explosive dogs. And it was kind of natural then to move into the judges program.
Yeah. And so with the judging program, is it different then as it is now? Like, is the criteria different?
So our judging program, I want to say started, I'm thinking it started around 2008. I'm not exactly sure on that, but Ann Putnat and Charlie Bartholomew were the two very first USMRA judges. And they were kind of grandfathered in because they did probably have the most experience of any of the Mondio competitors at the time. So the program was really kind of tailored with some mostly Belgium judges, a little bit of French judging, and they guided into what they thought judges needed to be, and then Ann and Charlie were both authorized as USMRA judges. So our official training program didn't start until after that, and that's when we started putting different criteria of what the organization believed would be best for teaching somebody, having the proper education, the proper knowledge, and certainly the proper understanding of what the spirit of Mondio ring is, so that we can be judging and guiding consistent with FCI standards.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like, especially because you're getting to see the sport as it's evolving, because how different it was then. And has it gotten more difficult over the years, or do you think the sport has gotten a bit easier over the years for competitors and dogs?
So I think for a competitor, from the standpoint of education, understanding, and experience, it's become a little bit easier. It's certainly a lot more achievable. I can remember several of the very first nationals where level 3 dogs didn't even pass. Still got on the podium, but they didn't even pass. Sometimes there were some nationals where level 2 dogs had a higher score than level 3 dogs because of the point loss available in level 3.
Yeah.
So now you see very consistently dogs, credible, really good handlers stepping up on the podium, and when they step on the podium in our nationals now, they are competitive with any international competitor.
And I think it's, for me, from my standpoint, and I've only been in the sport for the past like 8 years. I think a lot of it's because we've had more decoys come from Europe that are now living here and doing seminars and like teaching us more of expectations. Is like my point of view on it. What about you?
So yeah, because I think that brings a lot more on that end of it. It brings a lot more experience. We have good training techniques here in the U.S. We have a pretty good understanding of how to train the dogs, but where we lack a lot of times is the experience and the exposure of getting multiple dogs ready for level 3. So even as a handler, especially an up and coming handler, you're looking, a lot of times they look at the exercises and they go, okay, I need to train these things to get into level 1. And they're not even looking at level 2 and level 3.
Mm-hmm.
So they accomplish their level 1, they earn a Mondio 1, and now they're looking at, oh, now I need to start doing my search and I need to start doing my little woods. And if you do that all the way through, it's incredibly difficult to have a guard of object on a dog that you didn't start until he's 4 or 5 years old, where it should have been started as young as possible. And I think that is the experience where the experienced people that came in and helped educate us, the experienced people could go back and go, look, I want to compete at level 3. I want you to compete at level 3. So we need to start working these exercises, putting them in the dog's brain, letting the dog have exposure, experience, and tons of repetition in different environments so that the dog can be successful.
Definitely. Like, so how many level 3 dogs do you have?
None. I've trained 2 to level. I've earned titles on 2, but they're not living anymore.
Well, that still counts.
Okay, so I've had 2
in your career.
Okay, I've had
many?
Two level 3 dogs.
Right, and then when do you think you're going to be competing with this guy?
Next weekend.
Yes. So exciting. Are you ready?
I think so. He's looking pretty good.
So whenever you compete,
as long as he doesn't start barking and losing his brain.
Well, I mean, that's fair. So when you compete, do you have your own critiques in your head already? Because you're a judge, so are you already like picking apart your routines?
So on the trial field, are you asking? No. For me on the trial field, I want to be in the moment with my dog. So I try not to, I have an understanding of what the exercises are, and obviously I've paid attention in Dog and White, and I've set up kind of a strategy that I want. But when I get on the trial field, I try as best I can to be in the moment with the dog in that exercise. And if the dog or I blow the exercise, I try to just put that out. It's like, okay, I'm in the moment with my next exercise, and I try to stay as clear-headed as possible with each exercise. Now, as we say I'm in the blind for absence, if I've done several exercises, sure, I'm going to reflect on those, but I'm more so going to think about, okay, what's my continuing strategy forward for this trial?
Right. So, like, as for when new handlers come in, like, what is some advice for like your brevets or even your obedience people or your level 1s? What's your biggest piece of advice that you like push?
Breathe. That's the biggest piece. Breathe.
Yes.
I can tell you, I tell that to a lot of the competitors because they're already introducing themselves and not breathing and starting to freak out.
That's my most stressful point is check-in. Everything else is just me and my dog, right? And your training. But like for me, it's the most stressful part is check-in.
So mondioring is a difficult sport as it is. People cannot, even though you sometimes hear it, people cannot train their own dog by themselves and be successful at a high level of mondioring. You have to have the other people. You have to have that village, so to speak, that helps you get your dog prepared. And one of the things that I like about mondioring is even though you may be competing against another person, that other person typically is willing to help you, just like you're willing to help that other person.
Yeah.
And when you see a difficult piece during a trial and you're a competitor, obviously you're there feeling it, but when you're a spectator, you'll see if that dog can overcome it. Like, for example, jumping a palisade, they get a little hung up trying to pull themselves up, and they finally pull themselves up and over. Almost all the competitors are,
rooting for the
competitors
dog.
and spectators are excited because that dog was successful.
Yeah, 100%. Like everybody's like, cheering, and then the dog feels better, the handler breathes better. Like it definitely makes a big influence. For like this sport, since I've been in it, I've noticed like mondioring's way more friendly than the other sports I've been, like IGP. Like walking into an IGP group, like they're not as like welcoming.
Right.
And like I've went to some really friendly clubs, but like it's a different atmosphere. I've noticed with Mondio, it seems everybody's, yes, we're competing against each other, but we're all on the same team kind of thing when we're competing. So for me, that's why I really enjoy the sport too.
I agree. That's what keeps me wanting to do what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. I know most people think that people judge for the money. Probably not.
Like, so where's your goal? Like moving forward, what's your goal to see the sport and like your personal goals with your dog?
So I would like to see the organization and the sport, and I've said this for many, many years, I would like to see it come together in a place where we have regional competitions, and that those regional competitions then filter into our national competition. At the nationals, I would like to see where we can do level 2, maybe even a level 3 decoy certs. And in that level 2 or 3, in the beginning it would be level 2 decoy certs, but in that level 2 decoy cert, that would also be an opportunity for us to select our decoys for the next year. And I understand why we have some challenges with that, but that's some things I would like to see. And from a regional standpoint, you don't have to, our country is so large, and that's the piece that gives us a disadvantage from European countries, that some countries might have the same number of clubs we have, but they're probably a quarter of the size of Texas or less.
Yeah.
And when you look at our country, no matter where you go, even if you just simply go to a club trial, a lot of times people are driving 8 to 10 to 12 hours just to make a club trial.
Yeah.
So when you start looking at the competitive regional or national events, depending on where it is, somebody's going to have to drive for 2 days to get to that location.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like I think that's a great idea, especially as the sport's growing and competitors are getting better. It's time to start like not cracking down, but like sorting out people who are really super competitive, wanting to make the world teams, and the ones who are like, we're having fun, which isn't a bad thing. That's where everybody I feel should start, is by having fun with their dog first, and then build new goals as they go. Yeah, like, what about your personal dog?
What about him?
What is your timeline goal-wise?
So he's a mental health therapy dog, and I got him specifically at the end of my career after becoming canine handler. I supervised our mental health unit. So we were fortunate to have a therapy program in our department that one of my partners put together. And so he started out as a mental health therapy dog. So he is a bit different, even in the selection, than what I wanted. He is okay in sport, I would say. He's got, he's all dogs have some issues, and when you have a Malinois that's sort of drivey, you have magnified issues. So
100%.
The good thing is he's super environmentally sound, and he's pretty willing, and there's a lot of good pieces to him.
Yeah.
So he's capable of earning a 3, but he's not a competitive level dog.
So more or less, enjoy the ride.
So enjoy the ride, have fun.
Good. Like, I mean, that's what the.
Don't tell my wife, but looking for a new puppy.
Oh, this is on a video. We'll edit that out.
That's kidding.
Right. So, with new competitors coming in, what is something they should look for when they're looking for either a trainer or a club? What, in your opinion, what is?
I think one of the biggest things is the personality of the club that you're going into, because if you can't get along with the people, it's going to be really difficult to train. And again, the clubs are so few and far between that it makes it difficult to find a club that has good decoys and good experienced people that earn 3s and say, okay, here's what we need to start training as we go along, starting out with the young dog or whatever level that brand new person came in with the dog. But I think the attitude and the ability to interact with the group is probably one of the most important things. But then secondarily, you want a trainer that is flexible enough to realize that there are different training ideas and successful ways to train a dog. I believe in balanced training. I'm not trying to push anything like that, but I think it's difficult sometimes to try to look at this is the only way to train a dog. You have to be flexible and realize that some dogs learn a little bit differently, and a lot of people learn differently. So as a trainer, you're trying to incorporate, how do I get the motivated handler to do the same motivated things with a dog? And rather than be really picky on how the dog is trained, be flexible enough to trust that person. So it still comes back to the personality piece of the club, because you have to have trust and faith in what they're doing. And if you see what their dogs are looking like and you don't like it, that's probably not going to work.
Right. Yeah. Any other input for people who are coming into the sport?
So I see a lot of judgmental sometimes with people that transition from another sport. And a lot of times I've judged at clubs where there was a big influence of maybe PSA or maybe French ring or something like that. And I would say, take a look at whatever sport it is. You could be a Mondio competitor, but very successfully be training in an IPO club because that's all you have in your area, or training with a French ring club. So think about what your goal is for your dog. Think about what your personality type is for how you want to train your dog, and then be flexible enough to shape those into what the trainer in front of you is able to offer. And there may be some times where it's like, okay, I really want you to help me with a certain piece, but I don't really want to work with that other. And again, if your personality is genuine, more times than not, you can work through those differences of opinion.
Definitely. All right, I think that's like all I got for now. Well, we can always do this again in December when you come out for our trial and add to it. And maybe by then you'll have a new puppy.
Well, I am passionate about the sport. I really like this. You made a comment earlier, Jessica, about things being friendly. So one of my frustrations is sometimes the drama that gets posted on social media. And my experience going to different clubs, whether it was a training seminar, just flat training, or a trial, my experience is pretty much everybody is extremely helpful, extremely friendly. And then sometimes you go home on Monday night and somebody posted something ridiculous, and now there's some conflict going on. So what I would like to see there is slow down on what you're about to post, read it twice, maybe 3 times, and sometimes just throw it away.
Yeah, there is unfortunately a lot of unnecessary. Yeah. And it's not super often, and it's usually over hurt feelings.
Yes.
And so, like, instead of posting it, talk about it, like, to that person.
Right. Again, this is a really difficult sport so kind of touching back on the new handler. When you go to the gate, you take off your collar and leash, you hand it to the deputy judge, and you step on the field with your naked dog. And then you go up to the judge and basically say, here's who I am, show me your program. That's a lot. That's a lot of high stress. And sometimes the result that you wanted doesn't happen. So meaning my dog didn't pass. I didn't get to stand in the center stage of podium. But you have to take a look at who is your dog, how much training have you done, how consistent, honestly, how consistent have you been with your training, and then recognize that sometimes you don't pass, but you really had good success.
Oh,
your
100%.
dog did a lot of what you wanted, or you're working through an issue, and the issue didn't pop up during the trial. So sometimes you have good success there, but you didn't necessarily have that passing result that of course we all want.
Oh yeah, and like I said, I mean, I've had it happen plenty that I'll get on the field and then like I'm like, dang, that I feel like we did amazing, and then you look at your score and you're like, we did not do that. But at the end of the day, you're like, you know, we knew these were our holes.
Right.
We knew these were the possibilities, so it shouldn't be a surprise.
Exactly.
You know where your holes are, and then depending on the program, did you handle it correctly? Did you not handle it the best of your ability? And like handling is your make or break, and you can only learn that through trial and error and learning. Like, so like yesterday I made plenty of mistakes with my handling that I'm like, I did that.
I'm gonna say you made a couple. You didn't make plenty.
In my head,
you made a couple.
Plenty.
Okay.
Just because I was too much in my own head, and I've traveled quite a bit, but it's still, once you get caught in thought, like,
yes,
you like mess everything up.
Which is why I try to stay in the moment and not let that bother me. Because if you just made a mistake or your dog made a mistake, you cannot change that. It happened. It is what it is. Move forward. Don't let it cloud your future judgment, which future is like now in the next 10 seconds until you've completed your position on that field.
Mm-hmm. And depending on how you handle it is how your dog's going to react to it.
Correct.
So for me, that's where I was getting stuck in my own head, is trying to make sure I didn't give too much body language that I was disappointed in something, to where then my dog would be like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, and then overthink the next thing. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
So that's where I get stuck. It's not, I don't dwell on that. I dwell on how can I not shut my dog down or give out negative input to where she overthinks something. Thoughtful dogs are sometimes a pain in the butt.
Right, and getting your dog ready for trial is not just a matter of training, it's also a matter of balance. So you have a high-powered dog, you want the dog to show the high power, and you got to balance control in there.
Yeah.
So sometimes too much control causes the dog to do something that is not what you wanted. Mm-hmm. Obviously, not enough control is what we see probably more than anything, where the dog on the field is having a great time.
As a handler,
and we've paid our entry fee to let the dog have fun.
Yeah.
But we're not having fun in the moment because the dog's not right there with us or doing what we asked him to do.
If we are, like it happened yesterday with one of the level 2 dogs, the handler gave a too harsh of a correction for something, and then the dog thought it was something else and then stopped, and you watch the handler go,
yes. That's
like,
exactly what I was thinking of.
That was me. That wasn't the dog. That was my fault.
Right.
And then it reflects in scores, and people are like, oh, you didn't pass, or, you know, oh, you got close. And you're like, no, that was me. That wasn't my dog. That was a me problem. And a lot of people will look at your dog and be like, that was a dog problem. And you're like,
no, you're right, because especially that particular case, the dog was doing wonderfully, and then that extra harsh correction caused the dog to go, I better just down, because that's what I think my handler wants me to do. And it allowed the decoy to walk away. And
that is always the pros and cons of training, huh?
Yes, it's that balance is real important.
Yeah.
And that's a place I think where we sometimes have, especially the IPO people, taking a look at scores and going, oh, your dog is a crappy dog because here's the score. Well, actually, the performance may have been good, but you just lost a 30-point exercise. And that 30 points could have been handler influence. It could have been a mistake in anything.
Yep.
And just confusion from one exercise to another. So that's a piece that I like about Mondio specifically, is I can go on the field competing against you, watch what you did, but I can handle a little differently if I want to, or if my dog needs me to.
Yeah.
And even in the trials, defensive handler, for example, in dog and white, I'm going to kind of have an idea. Okay, here's what the pattern is. Here's what I need to do. My pre-planned idea tells me I want to put my dog in this certain position. And then when the actual trial happens, my dog is nowhere near that actual position, so I can't get him there. So can I handle him without cheating inside the rules? Can I handle him inside the rules?
Yeah.
To try to give him the best advantage for what we need. And again, it may be control, or it may be setting him up where he bites the right decoy, or whatever the case may be.
That's what makes the sport so hard. Is like there's so many variables.
But it's for me, that's the challenge piece that I really like, and that's where I think, as I simultaneously did police canine and mondioring, it was extremely helpful for me, because I became a better handler because I had to go within the rules. And then on the street, we don't have the same rules. I can give an extra command if I need to.
Right.
But I also knew I could expect, if I told my dog to do this, he's going to do it.
Yeah. No, that's definitely, that. I feel like that helps a lot of people understand, like, it's okay to go out and make mistakes, because that's how you learn. And don't get so bent up on the sport itself, but what you learned and how you and your dog did on the field. Because for me, how I look at it, because I grew up showing horses and livestock. I've been drug around the arena. I've been bucked off. Like, for me, what's the worst thing my dog's going to do? Not retrieve something? Oh, no.
Right, exactly. Exactly. It's a sport. At the end of the day, the most you did was you lost your cost to get there, your entry fees.
Yeah.
And yes.
And at the end of the day, when we walk on the trial field, we know our holes. You 100%
we
have
do,
an idea of where you're
and for some reason, we're surprised when we lose points in that area.
Yeah, always. It's human nature, though. We look at it and be like, that didn't happen. And then you rewatch it and you're like, yeah, it did.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, no, that's what really led me for the sport was the no patterns part, because I like the chaos and the environment, the people who are involved in it, and the constant growth. It's not okay, I've done all this and it's going to be the same until I'm done.
Right.
It's the chaos, and like getting people into the sport by the obedience program, and then going, okay, now you want to play the bitey side, and people are like,
because that's exciting.
It is. It's so rewarding for me, anyways, to go, okay, I've taught all this stuff, and now I get to see my dog enjoy doing what it's genetically made to do.
Right.
And then you get to sit back and be like, that's amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
And you think about the power and energy that a lot of our dogs have, and it's like with just a simple, I can have my dog let go and come back to me. That's pretty amazing. It really is.
And it makes it so much fun. I like to watch the genetics of the dog's natural behaviors that I'm just like, so nice to watch. And I feel like all of us watch those big, powerful dogs work, that you're like, geez, I want a dog like that. But at the same time, you're like, do I want a dog like that? Kind of thing.
I had one fast, reckless dog, and it's not fun, because
that's a whole lot of,
not only, the control part is one piece of it, but then also it's like when I send this dog down the field, possibly he or the decoy can get injured.
Yeah.
And that piece for me was never fun.
No. When
and on the sidelines, people are watching and go, oh, look at that, it was so cool. But it's not when literally your dog can get injured to a point where he can no longer maybe even have to be put down.
And that's the part with decoys, right? So as a judge, when you're looking for decoys for a trial, how have you seen the decoys changing? Like meaning how decoys used to be versus how they are now. Are you seeing improvements, influences from other sports? Like, what are you seeing And what are you looking for?
So I think specifically to the mondioring decoys, they're having a lot better understanding of the mondioring rules, the history of mondioring, the reasons that the decoy rules are in place to play the sport of mondioring, where in the past we maybe had decoys from other sports. So, for example, I started out as a Schützenhelper, all upper body stuff. It was hard for me to transition to do legs. I was a trial decoy, but honestly, I was never a high-level, high-skilled trial decoy. That I just didn't have the skill and technique to do those kind of things. So we see decoys that are a little bit more technique oriented, which I think creates good safety for the dog. So for me, one of the first things I want is a decoy that is going to be safe for the dog. No matter what happens, the decoy's interest is safety for the dog. And then second, a good attitude where the decoy is fair to all the competitors, whether he likes them or not. He's fair to all the dogs, whether he likes the dog or the dog breed or not. And it has the ability to be consistent throughout the trial. I think as a judge, our job is to make sure that that decoy is following the rules, but not to micromanage the decoy, because micromanaging a decoy is going to cause him to think too much instead of being responsive to his work. And what I mean by that is I want the decoy to be aware of the rules. I want him to solidly understand the rules, but if, for example, you have a fast Malinois coming in on a face attack, and you have a dog like, not dogging the German Shepherd, but you have a German Shepherd coming in at a fast German Shepherd speed. When they're coming in to bite, you a lot of times see the tail comes up, does a little wave, the ears come forward, he turns his head and he bites. That's a different technique than the Malinois that has no technique. He just simply recklessly blasts through. So you can't tell the decoy to just, okay, what I want you to do is I want you to take 2 steps forward and then catch him on your right leg, because that dog is going to come in a certain way, and the decoy has to be talented enough to be able to process that information and go, first is giving a safe catch, second is putting enough opposition based on the level you're doing here to tell that dog, I don't want you to bite me. And then once you've caught him safely, now put that appropriate work on the dog, so that you're testing his genetic and training and character to show this is the test of mondioring.
Yeah.
And we're not testing for like pivot technique or anything like that, because again, that's not the spirit of Mondio. That's not the history of mondioring.
Yeah. No, that's super good. Like, I feel like that's really good insight. Just because, like, a lot of us as competitors, we're not sure what you're looking for. And then sometimes getting out of the decoys, because they have a different terminology and understanding, we don't get enough information from them on what they're looking for. So we're kind of over here like, I don't know. So as a handler, the more understanding we can have for what the decoys are going to be doing and what they're looking for, I feel like it would be less handlers being upset when something didn't go exactly right, because you as a judge go, no, that decoy did exactly, it just didn't work out that time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and like
handler,
I tell my decoy, I tell
rules.
the trial decoys my expectations, but I also say, if you have a dog coming at you and you believe it's going to be a train wreck, do whatever it takes to safely catch the dog, no matter what level it's at. Yeah. Then we'll put the pressure on it and try to do it. Also, if you make a mistake as a decoy, come and tell me as a judge, and that way I know, because when the complaint comes in,
you already have
the competitor comes up with the video that they just focused, I can say, yes, I know, this is why it happened.
Yeah.
And because it happened, it may be a mistake. If a mistake happens within our jury on a trial field, we can't take points for those particular things.
Yeah.
So I can deal with that, and I will deal with the complaint. As long as the decoy is doing what I asked him, I can deal with the complaint.
Yeah.
And I want to deal with that complaint.
Definitely. And like, yeah, it's just really good insight. It's things that, I mean, I haven't even thought of, and like a different point of view than what I've seen. Like knowing what I know, it's just a different point of view. And I think it's super beneficial for more people to understand those things too. And in a terminology that we can understand them in.
Right.
So I think that'll wrap up.
So I want to say one more thing, because you brought up a couple things that kind of tapped in about the decoy. A lot of times the handlers don't understand decoy work at all. I think it's so beneficial to your training program if, as a handler, you can learn decoy work. Doesn't mean you have to be a trial decoy, and I wouldn't even say that that's a place you want to go, but understanding the motivation of the dog that's in front of you that's biting. You have to train the dog in front of you. So as a trainer, handler, if you can provide some of the decoy building aspects into your tug play, you're going to be more successful at understanding that. Also, when you're getting your dog trained, and especially when you're changing decoys, when you're going from your regular training decoy, that individual knows everything about the training aspect, and maybe you do, maybe you don't, but the more you know, the easier you're going to have saying, here's a new decoy, show my dog this piece, but I don't want you necessarily challenging him or training him to whatever that specific exercise may be, because I just want you to let him see a picture with a new decoy. Even if you do something as a decoy with a dog, and now I go in and try to duplicate it, the dog is seeing a different picture.
100%.
But I don't want to take a young dog, for example, and now I put some kind of craziness that causes a scar in the dog's training.
Agree.
If it's an older, experienced dog, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And so new decoys shouldn't be working less experienced dogs.
Agree. Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. And like in our club, HB has been really pushing for us to be understanding and getting in a sleeve or a suit and working with the finished dogs to where we can understand what you're looking for when the dog's coming in, how to catch the dog properly, and different aspects like that, to where we have a better grasp of what's going on. Not only from a handler standpoint, but also from the decoy's point of view, to where we're more understanding whenever something doesn't go right. We're like, there it is. Right,
and then your communication understanding is a little bit more clear, or at least can become more clear, because now you have an understanding. A decoy is not just a dummy in a suit.
No.
It really, the decoy is a talented trainer to help you with your dog,
and like
not.
Exactly.
And that's where you have to make the call. It's like, I would rather not do bite work than to do bad bite work.
Yes, and that's where a lot of people, they'll just go to, well, my friend Joe will just put the sleeve on and catch my dog, and I'm like, don't do that. You know, before I got into ring, like I worked with police dogs and stuff, and they got me in a suit when I had no idea, and I didn't know what good bite work looked like, right? And then whenever I met the person who introduced me, like I saw his work, and I was like, those are not the same.
Not the same.
Not the same thing. And that's how I got originally.
A lot of canine handlers are really bad about, hey, just go put this piece of equipment on, hide, and I'm going to send my dog.
So like they had like an extra large Ray Allen, and so they sit on both sides, and like I got put my legs in there. They had to pick me up and shape me into the suit so my feet would touch the bottom. That is my first time I was ever in a suit, and like I took bites from their dogs and worked their dogs. But like once I saw good work, I was like, why was I in that kind of thing? And that's where I really started to understand, like, a decoy will either make or break a dog.
Yes.
It's going to be good work that's going to build your dog up and you're going to be successful, or it's bad work and your dog's never going to want to do bite work again. And like more people need to understand, don't let your friend put on a suit to catch your dog. Like they're going to create issues and problems.
Lots of issues. Lots of issues.
Yeah. Yeah. How you feeling? Like,
Good.
any other insight that you want to put in?
I'm good.
All right. Well, this has been Questions at the Crates, and I'm Jessica, and this is
Don, love y'all.
See you guys later.